Hello everyone, I'm Dragons After Dark, and today we're going over all the pets you can collect from the Horrific Visions, both old and new. We're going to go over their sources, stats, movesets, and so on. Let's get started. First up is the Scourge of the Aspects. The Scourge of the Aspects is consumed by rage and filled with a hunger to consume. Its presence is a sign of an unpredictable and erratic future for any form of dragonkin. Scourge of the Aspects is one of the new pets from Horrific Visions Revisited in 11.1.5. It is a vendor pet that can be purchased with 5,000 displaced corrupted mementos, the new currency, from Tori, who is right next to the new Visions Gateway. Scourge of the Aspects stats are decently balanced, going heavier on the power. It has 1,481 health, 301 power, and 252 speed. The little extra health might help you survive to use the two new abilities when you have your Dragonkin buff. And of course, with the weather buff, 301 power behind Call of Darkness is still going to hit for 722 on its own. Of course, the first thing you'll notice are the two new abilities. In reality, they're ability reskins rather than actual new ones. Void Burst works just like Solar Beam, except you get the bonus hit when the weather is darkness. Since the Scourge of the Aspects is a Dragonkin pet, you're rolling the dice with your reduced hit chance, likely for both hits, during darkness. Unless, of course, you bring in a pet that buffs your team's hit chance. Still, if you manage to get the enemy below 50% with Call Darkness, then hit them with a Dragonkin buffed Void Burst, they're going to be in a world of hurt if they both hit. Surge of Darkness, on the other hand, works just like Surge of Light, except the guaranteed stun happens when the weather is sunlight. When you look at the Scourge of the Aspects set, I can imagine it's a great complement with the Soul of the Aspects set if you're looking to use the Surge of Darkness and Surge of Light with the weather abilities. Otherwise, it's just like Soul's moveset with the Deflection, Claw, and Breath as the remainders. For both pets, you'll want to use the weather abilities, Claw or Breath to get the enemy below 50% if necessary, then hit with the big hit third slot abilities. Overall, I think the Scourge of the Aspects will be a good pet to have for Dragonkin family fights and probably as a finisher / powerhouse in general strats. In fact, it's already been put in a general strategy on Zufus. While it will require swaps, which isn't as smooth as pets that have Explode or Armageddon abilities, it'll definitely be able to pull its weight on a complementary team. Next up is Reek. Reek is the reward for the Reeking of Visions achievements. And yes, that's achievements plural, because you will receive Reek as the reward for both the Battle for Azeroth Visions achievement and the War Within Revisited Visions achievement. This was certainly disappointing, and it was reported on the PTR. I'm not sure if there was an internal database reasoning for this or just a copy and paste thing, but they could have possibly just given us a purple reskin with a similar moveset. That aside, to receive Reek, you need to clear all objectives in both the Orgrimmar and Stormwind Visions. This means clearing all 4 sections before defeating Thrall and Illyria. The good news is you don't need to wear any of the masks for this and can do it on a regular clear. The other piece of good news, depending on how you look at it, is that it's not a terribly useful pet. Its health is 1481, power is 292, and speed is 260. Its stats lean a little more into health and power, while the speed leaves much to be desired, especially since it has phase shift. As far as battling, slot 1 is good. I like that Reek has 2 different families with Dark Talon and Infected Claw. I'll never be a fan of variable damage abilities like Infected Claw. However, Dark Talon makes up for it here by having a 200% hit chance, which can counter weather like Darkness and Sandstorm, as well as 100% blinds. Because Reek is slow at 260 speed, I would have liked to see Face Bite and Phase Shift in different slots, or swapping out Phase Shift for a damage buff like Inner Vision. The Vision portion of Inner Vision fits with the flavor text and Reek's source. Void Cyclone or any Cyclone ability by itself will never be my first choice in battle. Just like variable damage abilities, the lack of consistency can be an issue with making a good strategy. For an ability like Void Cyclone to be any good, you need an accuracy buff ability, and even then, you're not getting it to 100% without stacking 2 of them. As such, I'd select Expunge for slot 3 over Void Cyclone. Overall, Reek might be good for a few niche family fights where you can time using Phase Shift and take advantage of Dark Talon's extra hit chance while tossing out expunges on cooldown. Aside from that, he's just going to be a +1 to your collection. Next up is Anomalus. Anomalus drops in both the horrific visions of Stormwind and Orgrimmar from Illyria's and Thrall's chests, respectively. The only difference between BFA and the War Within visions is the drop rate seems slightly reduced from 6 to 7% to 5%. Anomalus burst onto both the PvP and PvE pet battle scenes when it released, and it's still able to effectively throw its gooey weight around. Its health is 1034, power 362, and speed 297. And with a power stat like that, it's easy to see why. Even though its health is low, it being a magic pet helps to counteract that, and at 297 speed, it cleans up well on older fights. Anomalus's moveset was a meta breaker when it first came out, and it still makes up a decent portion of the queue and in strategies. As a side note, I am so thankful I got my PvP wins out of the way before the Anomalus bomb dropped in the queue. Its effectiveness generally stems from its AoE abilities, Void Nova and Poison Protocol, backed by that massive power stat. Even with Void Nova's nerf from a 2-round to 3-round cooldown, it barely slowed Anomalus down. And since Anomalus is a magic pet, it means you're likely to get both of these AoE off before Anomalus dies. You're going to generally see Corrosion used for slot 1, though occasionally Ooze Touch will pop up. The same for Toxic Fumes, which I like to use if I'm trying to extend Poison Protocol by 1 round to help take out the backline. As for Contagion Strike, you won't see it used too much, likely because it does strong damage against Dragonkin, and Dragonkin attacks do strong damage to magic pets. Anomalus is a little too much of a glass cannon to effectively stand up to Dragonkin depending on the fight. Anomalus is a must for any serious pet battler and one of the few pets I keep duplicates of. Next up is Cthulhu. Cthulhu drops from Rexar's corrupted chest in the Vision of Orgrimmar. In the BFA Vision, it drops at a 13% drop rate. There's currently no info on its drop rate in the War Within Vision, but it might be slightly reduced like Anomalus, so perhaps a roughly 10% rate. Despite being an SS breed, this pet is not speedy. Its health is 1680, power 269, and speed 260. It has some hefty health, but not much power either. When your pet's health far outweighs its speed and power, you're basically gambling that your health can counter weaker attacks. With stat creep in enemies, high health pets don't have as much utility. The real sad part about Cthulhu is it has a decent moveset if it just had either more speed or more power. Horn attack only works to its full potential when your pet is faster. More power behind all the abilities would be great, of course, but feed with more power means more healing. Impale with more power gives you a higher threshold below 25% if the enemy has the boss/elite buff, and the payoff of Lumbering Charge is more worthwhile if it hits harder. Unfortunately, Cthulhu is relegated to the +1 in your roster category. The Eye of Chaos is one of the new pets from the revisited Vision of Stormwind. It drops from Valera's corrupted chest, and the drop rate is roughly 8%. If this pet looks a little familiar, it's because it's almost a reskin of the Eye of Corruption with a slightly bluer tone. The Eye of Chaos also has similar stats to the Eye of Corruption, giving up some power for a little more health. The Eye of Chaos's moveset will likely be used one of two ways, using Amplify Magic to boost your slot 2 and 3 abilities, either as a glass cannon or followed by a swap out, or you'll select your slot 2 and 3 abilities based on who you're fighting and fill with Chaos Beam. It doesn't have the highest power stat for any of its abilities, except that it's currently the only playable magic pet with Void Tremors. This might make it useful at some point, but we're not hurting for magic abilities from the magic family. In all, you might find a niche magic family fight for this guy. It likely won't see the same level of use as the Eye of Corruption, which has life exchange. Overall, you might use it in a fight or two, but it's not an S tier must-need pet. Now for the Void Scarred Cat. The Void Scarred Cat drops from Illyria's Corrupted Chest in both the BFA and the War Within Vision of Stormwind. For BFA, it shows as dropping at an 8% rate, while the War Within drop rate is showing as 6%. While the Void Scarred Cat is a power breed, its power stat is fairly average at this point in pet battles. Its health is 1522, power 305, and speed 256. It does have a little more health than average, which can help to counter its slower speed stat to help them take a little more damage. We weren't ever hurting for beast pets with magic damage, but if you're facing multiple flyers, it's hard to beat the Void Scarred Cat's 2 magic team damage abilities, Void Slap and Void Cyclone. While Void Cyclone isn't a great ability, it's really just there to maybe get 1 or 2 hits. The real star here is Void Slap, especially once you get your Beast Racial. As for slot 1, Flank appears to be chosen more, but it'll really just depend on what you're fighting. The Void Scarred Cat primarily shows up in Beast family fights, so you might come across it for one of those fights on Zufus. Overall, it's rated at medium viability, but not a must-have for battles in general. Now for the Void Scarred Hare. The Void Scarred Hare drops from Umbric's Corrupted Chest in both the BFA and the War Within versions of the Horrific Vision of Stormwind. The drop chance for BFA shows at 13% and the War Within has 9%. The Void Scarred Hare is quite the powerhouse for a critter pet, and especially a hare. Usually we see a lot of speed dumped into these little guys, but apparently Enzoth lured it with the promise of more power in exchange for speed and health. Its health is 1274, power 347, and speed 257. The Void Scarred Hare is listed as high utility on Zufus for critter family fights. Given when the Void Scarred Hare released, it was the perfect storm for this little powerhouse to become a critter superstar. We didn't really have much in the way of power in the critter family, and with it having 2 big hit abilities, Void Tremors and Early Advantage, it shot up in the ranks. We have more options now, but it's still a good option to have in the roster for critter family fights. Generally, if you're going to focus on using Early Advantage, you'll want to slot Powerball to get faster. That way you can time its use better. Or you can slot both Void Tremors and Early Advantage and take your chances. For slot 1, you'll usually want Scratch unless you can guarantee Moonlight is up to make Spirit Claws a 100% hit chance. Unless it doesn't matter, of course, because it's more about Void Tremors and Early Advantage. Next up is the Void Scarred Parrot. The Void Scarred Parrot is one of the new pets from the revisited Vision of Stormwind, and it drops from Wormbane's Corrupted Chest at about an 8% drop rate. The Void Scarred Parrot's stats give up some health for power and speed, but doesn't have enough in either to make it stand out from the flyer crowd. Its health is 1359, power 305, and speed 281. There will never be a universe where I willingly choose Slicing Wind as my filler attack, so Peck is really the only option here for me. Adrenaline Rush is nice for a pet like the Void Scarred Parrot, since its 281 speed isn't impressive once it loses its flying racial buff. However, it'll depend on what you're fighting on whether Counterspell is the better choice. As I said before, Cyclone abilities in general aren't really that great without an accuracy buff. If you just need something to maybe hit the backline without depending on that damage to win, then Void Cyclone will be the choice here, especially if the backline has one flyer. On the other hand, if you're facing aquatic enemies, Warning Squawk's crit buff will be the way to go. Overall, I don't see this being a high utility pet. Now for the Void Scarred Pup. The Void Scarred Pup drops from Thrall's Corrupted Chest in both the BFA and the War Within versions of the Horrific Vision of Orgrimmar. We don't have stats on the drop rates for the revisited Orgrimmar, but in the old vision, its rate is about 8%. The Void Scarred Pup's stats are middle of the road at this point, and it gives up some health for power and speed. Its health is 1359, power is 297, and speed is 289. So, the Void Scarred Pup is currently listed as low popularity on Zoofus. This could be for a few reasons, but the most likely reason is there are better pets with similar abilities or better movesets overall. If you're going to use this little guy, it'll probably be against critter pets where you stack Howl and Maul, and to a lesser degree, Howl and Vengeance. Vengeance can be tricky to time, and you'd need to be in a fight where the enemy's moves are static. Overall, his moveset feels like it should be more popular, but isn't. This relegates him to a niche Beast family fight pick, or more likely a +1 to your roster. Now we have the Void Scarred Rat. The Void Scarred Rat drops from Kelsey's Corrupted Chest in both the BFA and the War Within visions of Stormwind. From the BFA version, it drops at roughly a 6% rate, and in the War Within at a 4% rate. Just like the Void Scarred Hare, the Void Scarred Rat is a great little powerhouse. It doesn't have quite the power as the Void Scarred Hare, but its moveset makes up for that. Its health is 1400, power 325, and speed 260. The Void Scarred Rat comes up as medium popularity on Zoofus, but one look at the strategy list will tell you that I love this pet. Currently, of the 17 strategies it's used in, 9 of them are mine. It's got a great little moveset if you're facing critters. Creepy Chomp is almost unmatched among critters if you're facing a humanoid, and Vicious Streak allows you to time Bloodfang's heal or survival better. While Ooze Touch's flat damage amount is preferable, Shadow Talon's variable damage would do in a pinch if you need something besides Creepy Chomp as filler. As much as I love it though, this pet is going to be in the niche critter family fight category. And as a side note, it would have been cool to see it get the updated rat model, and in the future I'd love to see the Stone Whisker model as a void. The Void Scourge Scorpid is up next, and it's one of the new pets in the revisited vision of Orgrimmar. This pet drops from Garona's Corrupted Chest at a 13% drop rate. It's weirdly also the only pet from the visions that comes as default uncommon quality instead of rare. The Void Scarred Scorpid gives up a little health in return for more speed and power. Its health is 1319, power 297, and speed 297. With this moveset, I imagine the Void Scarred Scorpid will join the ranks of the Death Sting Scorpid and Infernal Pyreclaw as an AoE pet. It won't be as tanky as the Infernal Pyreclaw with its shell armor ability, or as powerful as the Death Sting Scorpid. However, if you have flyers on the backline, the Void Scarred Scorpid would be a great pick. Siphon Life isn't a terribly useful ability, so you'll probably want Sting's Dot. There's also no competition between Triple Snap and Claw, since Triple Snap's tooltip means you could get a run of single hits. As a result, I would definitely choose Claw. All of that being said, it's going to go among the occasional Beast family fight. The Void-Scarred Tallstrider chick is one of the new pets and drops from the Revisited Vision of Orgrimmar. It comes from Gaeara's Corrupted Chest at a 12% drop rate. While the Void-Scarred Tallstrider chick's name is not quick to say, it is a quick pet going heavy into the speed stat. Its health is 1278, power 268, and speed 341. Now, because this pet is so new, we don't have any popularity stats on it, but I imagine it'll find a nice place among the ranks of flying family fights. Its speed stat will make it faster than most, even once it loses its flying racial buff. This, plus Bash, a stun, will make it valuable for controlling the enemy team by forcing them to swap pets or lose a turn. It doesn't end there though, because it's one of a handful of pets with the AoE magic attack, Void Nova. You could also use Bash to help your Void-Scarred Tallstrider chick swap out to help and wait for Void Nova to come off cooldown. Last but least, we have the Void-Scarred Toad. It drops in both the BFA and the War Within Vision of Orgrimmar from Zakan's Corrupted Chest. In BFA, it drops at a 6% rate, and in the War Within, it's at a 9% rate. The Void-Scarred Toad, as its balance breed implies, is very middle of the road. Its health is 1441, power 284, and speed 276. Unfortunately, this poor little guy is not very popular and only shows up in a few strategies on Zufus. This is likely because its best combo, Amplify Magic plus Nightmare, would work best against a flyer. This is a bit of an issue for the Void-Scarred Toad because it's an aquatic pet. So, not only will it be slower than its enemy, but it's taking strong damage from any flying attacks it has. And it's not terribly powerful, so the combo won't be a 2-round KO. As a result, you'll rarely be pulling this Toad out to battle, and it'll be relegated to a roster +1. That's it for me, but what about you? Do you like revisiting the visions? Did any of the new collectibles catch your eye? How about the pets? Are there any you can't wait to test out or add to your MOG? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, I wish you all the best of luck. Don't let the madness consume you, and happy battling!